For many here in the UK, the pickup truck can still feel like a bit of an Americanism, a slightly curious Yankee import like the stuffed hot dog crust pizza and the phrase, "Can I get a?" But that hasn't stopped the segment from gaining rapid popularity here in Britain, with pickup sales up year on year and a whole host of new models joining the market. So there's the likes of the Mitsubishi L200, the Toyota Hilux, Nissan's Navara, the Volkswagen Amarok, the upcoming Renault Alaskan, Fiat's Fullback, and even Mercedes-Benz and Tesla have now said that they're making a pickup truck. Phew. If you thought that was hard to keep up with, imagine how poor Ford must feel. Its Ranger has been a stalwart of the segment since it was introduced in 2011, but now faced with a whole gamut of new competition, it must rapidly evolve to stay afloat in a market that could quickly swallow it. So, in a bid to keep those rivals at bay, Ford facelifted the Ranger earlier this year with fresh style in both inside and out, some new kit and improvements to the driving experience. So if you've never been in a pickup truck before, then you might be surprised at just how much space is inside it. There's loads of room in the cabin up here, and visibility out the front and the sides is excellent thanks to its large windows and its tall ride height. Given the pickups are built primarily as workhorses and then retrofitted with mod-cons to appeal to more everyday drivers, they can tend to lack the more attractive qualities of SUVs and instead focus on hardiness. Still, the Ranger is better than many of its class, although it does slightly lag behind the likes of the Volkswagen Amarok in terms of interior prettiness. That facelift that we mentioned earlier brought with it things like Ford's Sync 2 infotainment system, while this limited trim also gets stuff like rear parking sensors and a reversing camera, which are particularly handy given the size of this car, along with cruise control, which pushes its specification even closer to that of a car or of an SUV. A word to the wise though, generally when it comes to pickup trucks, all the really neat stuff is reserved specifically for the top specifications. Our model gets all the gizmos, but the entry-level XL and XLT models will lack much of the plusness to cut costs and to better stand up to the tough use that their owners subject them to. Now let's get on to the real important stuff. 3 versions are available: regular cab, super and double cab. Ours is the double cab, as evidenced by the doors and these 3 full-size seats, and it is spacious and comfortable, but there's still maybe not quite as much room as you might get with the likes of the Nissan X-Trail. There is absolutely loads of storage space though, with huge door bins, an electric socket here, and even a centre console cool box, which has enough room to store up to 6 drinks cans. In terms of cargo space, the regular cab model has a massive 2.3 metre long load bed and a maximum carrying capacity of 1,309 kilograms. By contrast, the double cab model drops that to 1.5 metres and it has a maximum payload of 1,179 kilograms. Of course, that is more than enough than what most family drivers will use it for, but beware the tailgate, which folds flat but is high off the ground and could make loading heavier items a bit more of a challenge. Despite its hefty size, the Ranger is actually fairly easy to drive, with light steering and an agile demeanour for a car of its class, which makes it feel more like a car than some of its more utilitarian feeling rivals. The hard rear springs, which allow heavy payloads to be carried, do mean that it feels a little bit bouncy if you've got nothing in the back, but all in all it's one of the best handling and one of the best driving pickups around. You will need those optional parking sensors and the reversing camera though, as the imposing size of the Ranger does make it a bit of a pain when you're in urban areas or trying to park it. The Ranger is available with 2 different diesel engines here in the UK, a 158 brake horsepower 2.2 litre and a more powerful 3.2 litre with 197 brake horsepower. Of those, we've got the former along with an automatic gearbox. Now, it's not the fastest thing in the world and refinement definitely is an issue, but it is smooth and it suits the car very well. It also has a 3.72 final drive ratio, which means that it can tow weights of up to 3.5 tonnes. As well as that, selectable 4-wheel drive modes means that it eats up anything from a bit of gravel to full off-roading, and it's even got a maximum weight and depth of 800mm. Less impressive, however, is its running costs. Even though Ford says that the Ranger is now 17% more efficient than the outgoing model, it still returned only 30 miles per gallon for us in the week that we've had it. CO2 emissions of 209 grams per kilometre will also leave the taxman rubbing his hands. It is priced fairly well against the competition though. As standard, the basic regular cab starts from £17,095, while the double cab starts from £20,395. As tested, our car, which comes with a couple of extra goodies, starts from £32,021 on the road. The original Ford Ranger was a fairly coarse machine, designed more as a working tool than anything else, but it has softened considerably since then, with a more car-like interior and arguably the best driving dynamics in its class. Compared against some rivals like the Volkswagen Amarok, it's perhaps not as well-rounded, but as a working vehicle it's an excellent option, and for families makes a much more capable, if slightly more heavy-duty alternative to the SUV. But what do you think of the Ford Ranger? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the inquire button to find out more details about this car, or for any other models visit carkeys.co.uk. And to watch more reviews, click on one of the links on screen now.